Coming up, Peter and I chat about Halloween. I'm gonna go as Superman. Hopefully I don't run into any kryptonite. For Syracuse, that's been the bye week. Headed into Thursday, SU's lone loss was off an extended break. Did the Orange show signs of rust in the Steel City?
And it's time for the old refrain, is it basketball season yet? The answer, finally, is yes. The men's and women's teams emerging from the Mello Center this week for exhibition play, showing Orange fans what to expect this season. We'll bring in our top analysts and break down whether these teams can go from preseason fun to making a postseason run.
Well, hey, it's preseason for hoops, almost postseason for field hockey. Syracuse running out of time to snag a signature win. With an 0-3 mark against top 10 teams, could SU snap the skid in Stores playing number 8 UConn?
And it won't be long before SU Soccer Stadium is dormant. Both the men's and women's footy teams winding down their seasons. Will review the latest contests and see if they can finish strong after a pair of challenging seasons. But we're starting strong here on this spooky Halloween Eve live edition of On the Bench, which starts right now.
Boo!
Scared me.
I scared you?
Yeah, you did.
Well, I'm not the
Startled.
most intimidating guy in the world.
No, you're not. But
you know, we're really buckling down on the theme here.
Yeah.
Welcome to On the Bench, Halloween edition, I guess. Ian Nicholas alongside Peter Elliott. And Peter, I mentioned it off the rip. We got Halloween costumes.
Oh, yeah?
We don't care that we're seniors in college. We're going out. We're dressing up. What are you doing?
you're never too old to dress up. Come on.
Right. This is a holiday for all.
Absolutely, it absolutely is. Well, less of a costume and more of a prop here, Ian.
Love
I'm going to
this
reach
idea.
down low,
Yep.
and I've got a Swiffer here because guess what? I'm going to be one of the men's basketball team
Wow.
student managers. You know when they run on the floor and they mop after a player falls down and the sweat gets
Oh,
on
I
the
know.
floor? That's what I'll be
Dangerous.
doing. I'll be going all around campus just mopping up for
When did
everyone
you get
else.
this idea?
I was in my kitchen. I didn't have a costume idea. I was looking around and I said, you know what? The campus jokes always play well. I saw an apron. I said, I don't know what to do with that. I saw a Swiffer and I said, yes, absolutely.
The
I'm
vision.
going to be a Libman Swiffer mop man.
Right. You don't look like a janitor, right?
No.
That's a compliment to you.
Appreciate that. Thank
I, however, look like this. One of the main characters from Up. That's just a fact, right? I used to have the bowl cut. You know, I've lost a little weight over the years, and especially this
Oh
part
my
of it.
God.
You know, I don't act
Incredible.
like a Boy Scout, but
Incredible.
This is part of the full ensemble of being Russell from Up. But
This is amazing. This feels like this costume is years in the making.
years. At bare minimum, 4 years in the making. These headlines, a week in the making. How about we show them to you? If you're a Syracuse basketball fan, you'll love what we got. Starting on the women's side, SU's all-time leader in points is set to have her jersey raised in the dome. Kayla Alexander's number 40 heads to the rafters. The former All-American is just the second player in program history to have her number retired, following current head coach Felicia Leggett-Jack. Like FLJ back in her day, Alexander dominated down low. The center is Syracuse's all-time leader in blocks and sits third for career rebounds.
And some good news for SU men's basketball from down under. The program landing a commitment last week from Australian guard Luke Fennell. The 6'6", 18-year-old has played for the country's under-20 team and found the Orange through a connection with new general manager Alex Klein. Now, I love what Fennell told the Post-Standard's Mike Waters about his decision to come to Cuse. Fennell saying, quote, I know it's in the state of New York, it's a nice little town, and everyone there loves hoops, end quote. Luke, you nailed it. 3 for 3. The Orange fans are going to love you. But before you go run off and look for his jersey at Manny's, it's worth noting Fennell won't be on campus until the 2025-26 campaign. He's spending this year with the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix of the National Basketball League. Fennell is the second international player to sign with Syracuse in recent months. The program reeled in Petar Majstorovic from France earlier this summer. How about Adrian Autry looking for ballers beyond borders?
Well, how about he lands Kyan Anthony? That's a baller in the border, bet they gotta land. But let's just get back to the present day. The men's basketball team hired Eugene Tunyakidja as an on-staff analyst. He's only 21 years old, you see the photo. Originally from Thailand, Eugene graduated from Syracuse earlier this year. The former student manager specializes in data analysis, which we'll dive into later in the show. Over the last few years, Eugene has worked for the Cavaliers and prepared pre-draft reports on NBA lottery picks. Almost makes you think, Peter, are we doing enough?
I was just thinking the same thing. I mean, I feel like as a 21-year-old, we're the same age. He's got a full-time job. We're going to be unemployed soon after we graduate from college. we got nothing going on for us.
Well, you know what bored 21-year-olds like to do, especially here in the small city of Syracuse? Gamble.
Yes.
And that brings a question. Is it possible to win the lottery by using strategy, or is it just luck? Because, sadly, I've never picked a Mega Millions, but you know who probably should have after that football game on Thursday?
I know what you're going to say.
Because if they didn't, they would have missed out on a jackpot. So let's see how it shook up. Syracuse, Pittsburgh, down in the Steel City. The Orange haven't won at Heinz Field, Acrisure Stadium, whatever you want to call it, since 2001. You got Rock the Panther, you got the Panther Pit, and you got an Orange team rolling in off back-to-back road wins. Surely they get off to a... Okay, so it's 2 minutes in. That's a pick six for Rasheem Biles. Remember, I told you Pitt, they got a little bit lucky in this game. That's a 35-yard house call. McCord, this guy, oh. Whoa. That ball didn't hit the turf. Brandon George with maybe the pick of the year in college football. That's 2 interceptions from McCord. That's, okay, so, wait, hold on, let me recalculate. That's 3 interceptions. Oh, he's still going. Okay, so Kyle Lewis, that's a house call. It's now, that's first quarter's over, 17-0. That's 2 pick sixes, 3 picks overall. My math serves correct. The Pitt offense, nice to see. Oh, okay. So that's a 20-yard touchdown. Eli Holstein finds sincerely. It's 24-0. The lights are flickering. Acrisure Stadium. Kyle McCord just get right back on. Oh my gosh. I mean, the Sharks are eating, the Panthers, whatever you want to call them. Braylon Lovelace running through everybody. That is the 3rd pick six of the half. No college football team has done that since 2005 on a night where they're honoring Larry Fitzgerald. Couldn't have come at a better time. Kyle McCord throws one more for good measure. Philip O'Brien, he picks it off. And his interception to touchdown ratio looking tough. Devastating loss for Fran Brown and company. And Sam Corcoran broke it all down, right down on the field at Acrisure Stadium.
Kyle McCord's first half against number 19 Pitt was historic. SU's gunslinger tossed for 3 touchdowns. Pretty impressive. But unfortunately, they were to the other team, and the Panthers stormed by Syracuse 41-13. It's just the 6th time that an FBS defense has returned 3 interceptions for touchdowns since 2000. And despite the poor performance tonight, McCord and SU have their chins held up high.
I've never, at any level of football, got beat like this. When you lose a game like this, in the way that we did, we have to continue to build on those winning habits. And I think that's been a problem here in the past, is that things go south, and I think guys see the season is over, but the season's far from over.
I'm not afraid. I'm confident in our staff. I'm confident in our football players. I'm confident in our I'm confident in our fan base. That they'll all be behind and see us push. You guys didn't see a team that quit, right? When you watched the game, there was no quit in us. There was nothing like that. The football just didn't go our way.
Well, with all those high hopes, SU's lucky that they don't have to come back to Acrisure Stadium for the rest of the year. It's a place that hasn't treated them too well. Tonight's loss, the worst since 2009. And if you go back to 2001, the Orange have lost 11 straight in this building. But up next for SU, a building much more comforting to them, the JMA Wireless Dome back in Syracuse. That's where SU meets its next opponent, Virginia Tech, next Saturday. But until then, reporting from Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Sam Corcoran, CitrusTV.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, it's a Virginia Tech team, Peter, that's won 3 in a row, and Kyle McCord just has to wipe the slate, because looking at his whole body of work this season, this is a total anomaly.
And Syracuse needs to wipe the slate as well. This is a team that has historically struggled in the month of November. You worry that this starts that slide. It's been a house of horrors, both at Acrisure Stadium and then that month. November has not been good to the Orange. It's nice to hear Kyle McCord acknowledge that after the game, but this is kind of the time of the year when that depth starts to get depleted. The ACC teams start to wear on Syracuse. They got to come out strong on Saturday at noon.
Even McCord, his first year with the team, understanding that this is not anything new for the Orange, trying to get ahead of it before it becomes a spiral for a team that now sits at 5-2. McCord and company, not the only ones on campus that faced a foe from Western Pennsylvania. Men's basketball hosted 2 of them as they ran through their exhibition slate. Find out how year 2 of the Autry era tipped off on OTB.
It's not that hard.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Rolling along here on the bench, Peter Elliott alongside Ian Nicholas. Ian, it is finally the start of basketball season here in Central New York. We love to hear that. But it's going to look a little different this year. The second year of the Adrian Autry era, and the team is a completely new look program.
Yeah, in terms of Autry in his media day press conference saying that he has more conviction in his whys and his why nots in this second season, which is good to see a young, not necessarily young, but a young head coach growing into his responsibilities. And like you said, he has to galvanize a group that no more Judah Mintz, no more Malik Brown. A lot of guys left the program, and we're going to talk about a lot of those new additions and how they've impressed so far.
Lots of brand new faces, certainly impressing Orange fans so far, but we got to see them on display in some exhibitions. Obviously, new basketball season. It's time for SU to break it in against a Division II school that no one's ever heard of. This happens every year. Come on, they're always from the Northeast. This year's victim, Clarion from Western Pennsylvania, where actually John Calipari played 2 years of college ball. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
That was a brand new thing I learned there. John Calipari was not on this team or coaching this team, but the Golden Eagles nonetheless were soaring into the Dome for the first time ever. This is Eddie Lampkin. That is Jaquan Carlos with the cookies. And this is Judah Mintz, number 3, soaring in for the dunk. Oh, no, it's not. Again, it's a new look team, Ian. That's Lucas Taylor, the guard from Georgia State. But it's just a partial list of these fresh faces for the Orange. You love to see the hustle there. And this guy, you're going to want to get to know him. Number 1, Donnie Freeman. OMG, that guy from IMG can really throw it down. We just saw a lot of unselfishness, Ian, from this new team. There might be a guy named Ethan on this team. I don't know. There's so many new faces.
Right, one of the bench warmers.
Surely. But this is a familiar face right here. J.J. Starling curling around the arc. He's hitting a 3. Led the team with 17 points in this one. It's really refreshing to see that Carlos can be a true point guard, though, for this team. He had a double-double, and we saw Freeman slam it. He can also shoot it. The freshman finishing with 16 points. Syracuse truly playing like a brand new team in a 101-76 preseason win. I don't want to immediately kind of start that debate of who is the most impactful transfer here, Ian.
But you want to start the debate?
Let's do it right now. It's got to be between one of these two guys. You get a true point guard in Jaquan Carlos taking over for that Judah Mintz role, or Eddie Lampkin, who fills out that Malik Brown role. You needed a big center there.
You did, right? I think Lampkin, I almost think he's a poor man's Nikola Jokic, right? That's just kind of where he plays in the high post. More of a passer than a scorer, but what a great stat line for Jaquan Carlos in his first game with Syracuse. Maybe not as talented, right, as Mintz was last season, but he's going to keep the ball swinging, which this team really needs. Not the only tune-up that Syracuse had in the exhibition slate. Earlier tonight, that trio that you just saw on your screen, they played against another Division II school, Slippery Rock, known simply as The Rock. There's nothing else that needs to be said outside of, if you smell what The Rock is cooking.
You should have been Dwayne Johnson for Halloween.
I got a good head of hair, Peter. I got to keep that going. The Rock wasn't cooking anything tonight.
No.
45-point victory for Syracuse. They sweep the exhibition slate. J.J. Starling only gives you 8, but back-to-back games. One guy we didn't talk about, Peter, Chris Bell, really lighting the fly.
One of the few returning faces for this program, but you see the two guys back this year. They were the representatives at ACC Media Day. J.J. Starling, Chris Bell, the veteran leadership in this program, guys that Adrian Autry is really going to have to lean on for this program. But you love to see Chris Bell hitting 5 threes. That's one thing you need from him, that perimeter shooting. He says he's one of the best shooters in the ACC. You need that this year. Quickly, I want to point out these names here. Jomo Goings and Day Waters. Incredible names from a school that already has an incredible name.
And there was a list on social media today, I saw it on Twitter or Instagram, of all the top names in college basketball this season. I don't think I saw either of those names. might need to make some additions. Now, a big reason why Syracuse scheduled a JoJo and Waters and Slippery Rock and Clarion was to build momentum. The final outcome was never in doubt. Those box scores looked great, but as our friend SU data analyst Eugene Tunyakidja knows, that's not the whole story. So let's send it over to Peter, who's standing alongside another number cruncher who works for Syracuse.
Ian, thanks so much. We talked earlier in the show about Eugene, the men's basketball team's whiz kid. We now bring in another one. Jonah Seuss is a performance analyst for the program. Thanks so much for joining us here in studio.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're excited to break down this new look team coming in with a segment we're going to call Stats with Seuss. Let's have some fun here, right?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So let's first take a look at last year's team, which didn't make the NCAA tournament, but still, I'd say they overperformed relative to expectations. Talk about that roster construction and how they ended up performing.
Yeah, let's break it down a little bit. We'll jump in here and kind of look at some overall metrics. 83rd and 85th in defensive and offensive efficiency. Big jump up for us, getting up into the 80th in overall percentile. And then we'll jump a little bit further, kind of looking into that 20-12 record. What we saw offensively is that the offense under Judah Mintz kind of struggled to get that ball flowing. We saw a lot of contested catch and shoots, a lot of dribble jumpers, and not that many open catch and shoot opportunities, which shows that, we're taking a lot of inefficient shots, which can kind of happen when you have a ball dominant guard that's trying to get to the rim constantly. Defensively, what we see, especially at the rim, is where we really struggled. We allowed teams to get there in the 84th percentile, and then we allowed them to score in the 8th, which means we were pretty poor, and we let them get there a lot. And that also comes into that luck component. We saw the unguarded catch and shoot. We allowed a lot of them, and teams only shot mediocre. So imagine if they were shooting at an elite level.
You can imagine. A lot of things to clean up next season for a team that cleaned house in the offseason. So many guys leaving the program over the course of the summer. I mean, break down all these guys. What did SU lose by losing these guys?
Yeah, we're looking at multiple starters as well as the leaders in points, steals, blocks, rebounds, assists. All of those guys, especially fronted by Judah Mintz and Malik Brown going to the draft and going to Duke. They're all gone, and it gives an opportunity for new players to kind of come in and clean the slate and allow Red Autry to put his, kind of own touch on the team.
Yeah, that was kind of the last vestiges of the Jim Boeheim era. Red Autry inherited that crew, so this is the first team that is really Adrian Autry's own. So let's talk about some of those additions. Who is one player you're really looking forward to seeing who will shape this new team?
Yeah, so let's look at Jaquan Carlos. He's someone that is excellent in being a true facilitator. Yeah. Jaquan, high assist-to-turnover ratio, really is good at getting the ball out, and runs a very efficient offense. 83rd percentile Hofstra was when he was kind of in control, as well as being both a better three-point shooter and free-throw shooter than Judah Mintz was. Yeah. So he's a sneaky guy that can get in the spot up, and as a true point guard and facilitator, it's going to be adding a component that we really haven't had in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think SU fans are going to miss that kind of electric playmaking from Judah Mintz, of course. That was so fun to watch. But I think you get a true point guard here in Jaquan Carlos. That'll be fun to watch, and watch him work with JJ Starling.
Absolutely. I think he's going to work extremely well alongside him. JJ kind of being more that slashing two guard, while Jaquan is going to be doing great at being able to facilitate and get open opportunities for a bunch of teammates.
So Jaquan Carlos, someone that SU fans are really excited about through these first two exhibition games. Let's take a look at the other headlines of this incoming class here. A transfer and a 5-star. How about Eddie Lampkin and Donnie Freeman?
Yeah, Eddie Lampkin coming from Colorado. He was a lot of fun to watch in the tournament. He adds a component of an inside-out game that we can play where he can almost facilitate a little bit on the perimeter. Kind of has that sort of Jokic play style in college basketball.
Love that.
So he's able to efficiently get passes and get good shots up from the post, something we haven't had in the last couple of years, as well as being kind of sneaky good on putbacks and offensive rebounds, and a good pick and roll man that'll work really well with JJ. Then you have Donnie. He is a athlete. I mean, we're talking 6'9", 205, 5-star recruit, McDonald's All-American. Yeah. He's going to come in and bring a multi-dimensionality where he can slash and get to the bucket, as well as being able to have a great perimeter shot. So he's someone that, especially on the defensive end as well, being able to have an athlete inside the paint, it's going to really revolutionize how we play against a lot of these top teams.
Donnie is a 5-star. These guys are 2 stars. How about some of the players who are kind of going a little under the radar here? Who are some of the unheralded players who are coming in and will shape this new look team?
Yeah, Lucas Taylor is going to have a big impact from Georgia State. He kind of plays that 3-and-D wing role, as well as guys like Jair Davis, who's more of a forward, ball-dominant guy at Delaware that's kind of adapting to a new role. And then another top prospect in Elijah Chapamore. He's going to come in, add another dimensionality and an inside-out scorer, and has shot really well.
There's one guy here who's not on the screen. We didn't see him last year. It's Chance Westry, a guy who came in from Auburn last year, hurt his knee, so we didn't see him take the floor. But what does he bring to this program that SU fans will be so excited about?
Yeah, he's an X factor. He's someone that can come on as a sixth man and really make an impact with his scoring and playmaking potential. He is someone that when he's on the court is going to be very, very hard to stop.
All right, zooming out here now, what is one crucial thing here, Jonah, that is different about this SU team this year as opposed to last year's team?
Depth, 100%. I think we have 10 to 11 rotational players. I'm not sure the last time a Syracuse team has had this deep of a bench. And I think Adrian Autry is going to be able to use it effectively, build out that puzzle. And, you know, with guys like J.J. Starling able to step up and kind of take those leadership roles, again, I think the ACC is wide open for us.
That's something you need when you want to go dancing in March. Jonah, thank you so much for joining us here on the first ever edition of Stats with Seuss. That's Dr. Seuss. We appreciate you joining us here in studio.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. Well, we're staying on the court here, transitioning over to the women's side. We'll take a look at how they performed against Damon in their opening exhibition inside the Dome. Stay with us here on the bench. We're dribbling into the break.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Welcome back to On the Bench. Ian Nicholas alongside Peter Elliott. Now, we just crunched a lot of numbers.
Yes.
Right? So we're going to dumb it down a little bit here. We're going to talk more about words.
We're not numbers guys.
We're not numbers guys. That's the stigma around broadcasters.
It's true.
You know, Peter, but you are a smart guy.
Come on,
and, you know, I'm feeling wise. I'm feeling, you know, fall is a time of reflection. And I ask you this. Do you know what the Syracuse University motto is?
Ian, I actually do, because I try and fashion myself a curious person. I saw the Latin. I can't read Latin. I don't know what that is.
So you don't know what it is in Latin?
In Latin, I don't know what it is, but I know in English the translation roughly is, knowledge crowns those who seek her.
Wow.
How elegant, right?
Would you say that's something you live by every day?
That is a slogan I have. It's like, you know, Notre Dame hits the thing before they go out in the stadium.
Ted Lasso
I have one in my
hits the
room
thing.
that I just hit before I go out and seize the day.
Wow.
Carpe
And that
diem.
gets you rolling? Well, you know what gets me rolling? Syracuse women's basketball's new slogan. It's got only one word. It's a little catchier. Elevate. That's easier, raise the roof. That's easier said than done. SU graduated the Asia Fair, scored the third most points in women's college hoops history. Without the player that's defined her return to Syracuse, what did Felicia Leggett-Jack's team do in its lone exhibition against Division II Damon? Well, the first points of the season, as the energy building up for women's basketball again inside the Dome, would be scored by a newcomer. Orange win the tip, Angelica Velez controls the rock. But here is Vergel kicks it out to Olivia Schmidt. One of the shorter players on the team, but hey, maybe one of the better shooters on the team. On the other end though, Damon keeping it close. They make it 3 of their own midway through the first. It's a 10-7 game. Until it's not. Syracuse goes on a 18-point run to end the first quarter. Kyra Wood, welcome back, a 3-time captain, getting it done down low. Maddie Potts hitting a little bit of a jumper. She joined the team in January and now is playing for the team finally this fall. Shia Hawkins, a highly rated recruit, has the Orange up over 30 at the half. Kyra Wood, what a game she had, dominating the smaller players in Damon. 16 and 14 for her in only 11 minutes. You see Scott and Hawkins also putting in 16 points as well. The Orange win by 40. And Peter, the Sweet 16, Syracuse women's basketball. Hey, they made the round of 32 last year. They're hoping to get to the Sweet 16 this year. If they have more performances like this, That could happen.
Eminently possible, it really is. I mean, the big question, like you talked about, how do you replace Deisha Fair? She saved so many games for the Orange last season, single-handedly got them into the tournament. But this is how you do it, with this group effort. You got Kira Scott and Sky Hawkins, freshmen, making a strong first impression. Georgia Woolley, you're not seeing on that screen, she did not play in the exhibition, but Coach Fletchak says that she will be ready for the season opener on Tuesday.
That season opener on Tuesday coming up against Niagara, and the inexperience, the experience, it will hopefully all come together then. We have a newer face joining us here in studio, Kiran Costa, our women's basketball beat reporter. Welcome.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks for having me.
So you saw that Damon game, Kiran.
I did.
You've got some takes, and we're ready to hear them. You're going to talk about some players that we didn't just see on that graphic, because that's why we got you. You're not the surface level guy. You're the in-depth guy. And I'll ask you this. Out of the players returning for Syracuse this season, who's the one that you think needs to take the biggest step up? Maybe who needs to elevate the most?
FLJ loves that term, elevate, and even in her preseason press conference, she talked about one player, and that's Isabel Verajao. And they have her back, but it's not the same player from last year, Ian. I wouldn't even call her a returner because she's 100% healthy now. We never saw her at full strength the entirety of last season, and so FLJ gave her a little bit of playing time in that exhibition, and she showed out on the offensive and the defensive end. She's the only true center listed on the roster. She's going to be a big part of what Syracuse does down low this season.
Yeah, I know you're a big NBA guy too, and also I'm sure you're excited to cover a player related to Anderson Varejao. And even in her preseason press conference, she mentioned, Felicia Liggett-Jack mentioned Anderson as, you know what, Izza, she's got the skills that her uncle
That's a great
had
player comp
back
if
in
you
the day.
ask me.
Hey, you know, I can pull it deep out of my NBA bag of random players, but let's go to some of the newer names on this team. Who's one of the newcomers that you have highlighted as somebody who can make an impact from day one?
Well, there's a lot of good freshmen coming in, but I'm going to talk about one of the transfers today, Angelica Velez, a guard out of LSU. She's already done it at a big program. Maybe she didn't get the amount of playing time she wanted last year for the Tigers, but she's going to get it this year, and she's going to be the key to the second unit for the Orange. She's probably going to be coming off the bench, but we saw it in the exhibition game. She was passing, and she was all over the floor defensively. She led the team in steals and led the team in assists. I think she could be the 6th player of the year for this Orange, and I think really the second unit's passing all comes down to her.
Hey, look, Syracuse women's basketball a few years ago had the national 6th player of the year, Emily Angster. Again, that's my knowledge coming out to play. But this is the knowledgeable guy, Costa_Kiran on Twitter. Give him a follow. Kiran, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Ian.
When we come back, we'll talk about another team that is always in the talk of the town when it comes to the postseason, Syracuse field hockey. Hitting the road, playing a UConn squad and a Bucknell squad, hungry to knock off a 12th best team in the country. Find out what happened on the road on the other side.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready?
Dude, I thought you were driving.
I thought you were driving.
Oh, I never said I was driving.
I definitely can't drive.
If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
Coming back here on the bench, it's time to talk some stick talk. It's hard to argue against Cuse field hockey being the best team on campus right now, the 12th ranked team in the country. Lynn Farquhar's group is in the throes of a really challenging stretch in right now against a group of ranked opponents. On Thursday, they finally got a breather of sorts, taking on an unranked Bucknell team. SU coming off a heartbreaking loss at number 4 Virginia in a shootout, SU's second loss in extras this season. The other one, that game in Durham against a top 10 Duke squad. This one a little bit lighter here against the Bison of Bucknell. Let's go to the second period here. SU wearing those road whites who else here? It'd be Bo Van Kempen off the penalty corner. She's got an uncanny ability to find the cage through the crowd. The Orange in the half, up 3. Out of the break, Lana Hamilton says, look what I found. She just casually golfs it in the cage to put the Orange up 4-0. I love that kind of nonchalant play almost. Makes it look so easy. Out to the 4th now. The ball would go her way once again, wide open in front of the net, and she's got her 2nd goal of the game and the season. Waning minutes now, Syracuse up 6-2, but they're still pouring it on. Vivian Rowan will get in on the scoring here with the redirection. SU cruises to a 7-2 win. It's the most goals Syracuse has scored this season since its season opener against Lock Haven.
Something about dropping a lot of goals against smaller schools out in Pennsylvania. But after dropping 7 on the road against Bucknell, Syracuse shifted its focus towards number 8 UConn. This wasn't the same Husky squad the Orange dropped 3-0 last fall. Connecticut only won 5 games a year ago. Headed into Sunday, the Huskies led the pack in the Big East in search of their 15th win of the season. And again, if you didn't know, UConn, a proud program in field hockey. This is Nancy Stevens Field, named for the winningest coach in the sport. She's currently a volunteer assistant, but over 30 years, she won a couple national titles. Anyways, let's get to the game. Syracuse trying to rev up its NCAA tournament chances, but came out cold out of the gates, 0-0 at the break, and UConn strikes first in the 40th minute to go up 1-0. Syracuse and Lynn Farquhar flip the switch. UConn stops celebrating the rest of the way, and it starts here. Great pass in transition from Willemijn Boger. Elika Legongers with the backhand. Didn't even know how to celebrate. It was that good a goal. Kind of had to pop up, and she realized the game was tied at 1-1. 51st minute. You cannot give Bo Van Kempen these chances. She gives Syracuse the 2-1 lead, and they end up scoring a garbage time goal. Aiden Drabick pots one in. 3-1, the final score.
That's the perfect highlight read for Ian Nicholas, at Connecticut College in field hockey. Well, on this Halloween Eve, I think it's only right that we call her Boo Van Kempen, because she's been scarily good this season. The grad transfer leads the country with 15 goals. 9 of those have been game winners. 9 of them. Our field hockey beat reporter Dan Shalom took a closer look at her historic season.
I really like to perform under pressure. I think all the teammates have a lot of confidence in me, and I have to just finish it game after game, and luckily it's going pretty well so far.
It's been going more than well for Syracuse field hockey back Bo Van Kempen since she's donned orange. The grad student has been on fire the entire season for SU, scoring 15 goals in 15 games. Van Kempen hails from the Netherlands and played with Makdamasé in the promotion class, the second highest level of competition in Dutch hockey. Playing in such a competitive league made the transition to the NCAA for Van Kempen seamless.
I came here pretty early, so I was here since the 6th of July, so I had a little bit of time to adjust to a bigger country than the Netherlands. So I think the way we play is very similar to back at home. It's just really attacking hockey, and
that offensive style of play has allowed Van Kempen to thrive in one particular place with the Orange: corners. Of the 15 goals the grad student has scored this season, 12 have come off of APCs. For lead play-by-play broadcaster for field hockey on ESPN, Leah Secondo, Van Kempen is near unstoppable on corners.
The ability to read the defender, read quickly how the defender and that fly is coming at her, to then make a lateral movement and pull the ball one way or pull the ball the other way and get just as much strength and speed and velocity off of that ball, no matter the direction she is then moving to kind of throw the defense off.
Van Kempen isn't just a star on the field, though. She's also a class act off it.
She's incredibly humble. She has a leadership, a demeanor to her where you can see her on the field too. Like, she always looks incredibly composed. However, she's incredibly passionate too. So the way she communicates with her teammates is huge. I just think that's things that you don't teach, right? It's special character qualities.
Oh, it's amazing. I love celebrating other girls, and I think we do such a good job. The bench, us, the coaches, everyone's just so involved with each other's success on and off the field. So yeah, absolutely.
Reporting for Citrus TV, I'm Dan Shalom.
Dan, thank you so much. It's been so fun to watch her play this season. Well, we're staying on the turf to talk footy when we come back. The women's team looks for its first conference win, and the men's squad following in the footsteps of Joe Girard, heading down to Clemson to face the number 3 team in the country. Could the Orange claw back at the Tigers? Answers to this question and life's other mysteries after a short break.
That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
Got a quarter?
Welcome back on the bench. Ian Nicholas still alongside Peter Elliott. And Peter, you mentioned the footy, so it's time to talk about soccer. We'll kick it on the men's side. You know, that's a pun, and
Nice.
I meant
Good.
it.
Intended.
But, you know, Peter, it just feels like 2022, Syracuse men's soccer wins a national championship. It feels like it was a long time ago at this point with the struggle Syracuse has had this year.
Only 2 years ago, but it does feel like it kind of eons ago. I believe only 4 current members of this team were on the national championship winning team, so it's a completely different team. Ian McIntyre really the only mainstay there.
Right, on brand. You were in CitrusTV when they won the championship.
Right.
I was at a radio station when they won the championship, so we have no lives. That's what you know. But, you know, let's go back to a time when maybe we did have a life. Memory lane, when Syracuse went to Clemson, and that happened this weekend. But the last time SU found itself in South Carolina 2 years ago, the Orange knocked off the Tigers. They were fresh off a national title. Not much has changed. Well, at least not for Clemson. This year's squad, the 3rd best in the country, and they won the College Cup a year ago. And this just, you see them running with those white jerseys at home. They still look like a College Cup team. The Tigers strike first, and it's 1-0 in the 2nd minute, wasting absolutely no time. And not like they needed an advantage, but Syracuse gives it to them. Michael Aqua, a red card in the 15th minute, and Syracuse has to play a player down the rest of the match. There's the booking. Yeah, I know soccer. There's the booking. So Syracuse on the disadvantage the rest of the way, and Clemson is just absolutely going to blitz them on the attack. A beautiful cross for his score. That makes it 2-0 in the 25th minute. By halftime, it's 4-1. And then the set pieces, they got that tuba soaring header in the score for Tyler Trimnell. 5-1 there. The final 6-1. Josh Richardson, break it down.
Syracuse men's soccer this season has been the definition of consistently inconsistent. One game, the Orange will score 5 goals. The next, it will get shut out. Another game, SU will pitch a shutout, and then in games like tonight, Syracuse will allow 6 goals en route to a 6-1 loss to 3rd-ranked Clemson. The Tigers dominated from start to finish. Clemson tripled SU in shots 16-5 and scored a goal in each of the first 2.5 minutes of both halves. Even after the disappointing match, Syracuse head coach Ian McIntyre could only point out that at the end of the day, this will make his team even stronger down the stretch.
We are learning hard and harsh lessons in big moments in big games, and you want to play in this environment. You want to play, and when we get through this, and we will get through this with this group, they'll enjoy some good moments. We've got some good young players, and when we get through it, you know, we will, as difficult as it may sound right now, we will get better because of nights like this.
Tonight marked the final road match of the regular season for the Orange, with the final home match coming next Friday when Syracuse hosts second-ranked Pitt from SU Soccer Stadium at 7. The Panthers have dominated the competition, going 12-3 with 5 ranked wins on the season. Reporting from historic Riggs Field, Josh Richardson, CitrusTV.
Thanks to Josh for his work. Peter, it's the lone bright spot here is no matter how good Pitt is, it doesn't get worse than this loss historically for Ian McIntyre.
Yeah, this is another tough looking graphic here. That number one right there sticks out like a sore thumb. You see a lot of 3-0 losses. Okay, that's not, not
Sure.
great, but of course that's manageable. But then you get up there, man, that is a tough loss. I think it's worth noting a lot of these losses are from Coach Mac's first year in 2010.
Yep.
Look at that Siena loss. That was the first game he ever coached. What a good
Wow.
Saints program that must have been. Oh my God.
Oh, I'm surely. Maybe Terry
5-1.
McNamara was playing.
That's right. That's very possible. But 5-1 at SU Soccer Stadium. Clearly, though, Coach Mac has figured it out. He's got an NCAA championship ring to prove it. He's got 2 ACC titles. Something will change here, certainly in the next season. Well, the SU women's team looked like it was figuring it out at some point this season, jetting off to a 4-1-1 record, the program's best start since 1997. Then conference play rolled around and 7 straight losses ensued. An encouraging sign, though, came recently against NC State, a 1-1 draw that Nikki Adams' team could build on when it welcomed Miami to SU Soccer Stadium on Thursday. The Hurricanes also struggling to get in the win column, just 1 victory since early September. To the 10th minute we go here. Giovanni Canala evading 2 defenders, finding space and going 5-hole underneath Shea Vanderbosch, her 9th of the season. No other Miami player, Ian, has even 3 goals this year. And 3, that was the number of shots both teams had in the first half. Pretty even offensively. Canali with another chance just 9 minutes later, but Shea Vanderbosch stepping up, greeting her rudely, diffusing a prime scoring chance. Can SU level in the second half? Ashley Rauch is going to try. 66th minute, past a defender, using her left, finding Twine on the tough angle. Her team leading 5th goal of the season. 10 minutes later, corner headed out to the waiting foot of Giselle Kozarski. Kozarski analysis. It's in the net, and Miami takes the lead. The Canes would tack on another one 3 minutes later. 3-1 is your final from South Campus. Now, Ian, Syracuse had some chances in that game. It was pretty even, the scoring opportunities, but they just couldn't bury a goal. That's the story of this season for this Orange women's soccer program.
No, honestly, even though it was a 3-1 loss, Peter, it didn't feel like that battle loss because they were in it to the very end, and then their inexperience, their lack of winning in those winning moments really showed. So, although Syracuse's record might not scream positivity, wins, losses, and draws, they don't tell the whole story. In her 6th season on the Hill, head coach Nikki Adams has started a new tradition. Artemi White's caught up with a couple SU captains to explain the story behind the championship belt.
Or whether it's a loss for Syracuse women's soccer, one thing has remained constant after each game this season. Not 1, but 2 game belts are handed out after every single matchup. One is for a player of the game, and one is for a game changer. So I had the opportunity to sit down with 2 SU captains and talk about what they mean for the squad.
This is the first year with the belts. So we started with we had these superhero capes. So it'd be someone would get a Batman cape for game changer and Superman for player of the game.
It was really cool because it was a surprise for us this year. So it was really exciting when Nikki, obviously, whenever she says, I have a surprise for you, you're excited. You know it's going to be something good. And so she called us in and we got to see these big belts that they had custom made and they're heavy. They look cool, they're shiny.
Whether they start on the field or they're coming onto the field, kind of someone who makes a big impact, changes the game in some important way. That could be a goal, a really important assist, even a super important save, a tackle, anything like that. Something significant in the game, or even multiple events that person's had that really changed the course of the game.
In games where we might play really well as a team, but just not quite get the result that we wanted, it's so cool to still be able to celebrate, these 2 players that just did incredibly awesome, did something extra that game, and to be able to still cheer for them and give them something to kind of award them for the work they put in that game. As much as goals matter and assists matter, and I think a lot of times those awards end up going to players who are scoring goals and getting us those goals, which obviously is extremely important, but I think it's fun too to be able to celebrate someone in the back line or in the goal who's making the really important stops as well.
Ice hockey teams, they can take a page out of a women's soccer book All three have struggled so far this semester, but would the good vibes turn into winning results in the women's building in Tennessee? Stick around. Find out.
Coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown, and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch. Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Oh, we're back. I'm sorry. I was elbow deep in this candy corn, really getting in the Halloween spirit here.
I appreciate candy corn.
Well, I do as well. I think a lot of haters out there, but I think it's a good candy.
There's some groans in this newsroom right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, we'll see it afterwards. Who wants it in the post-show meeting? Well, much like women's soccer, the volleyball team is looking high and low in search of a conference win. It had been almost 2 calendar years since its last ACC victory over Virginia. And wouldn't you know, Ian? Oh, you're going back?
Keep going, yeah. Wouldn't
okay,
you know what?
I'll keep talking, sorry. Yeah. That's the team, the Who's, that came back to the Hill on Wednesday night. It's a formidable UVA crew coming into the women's building with a 15-4 record and having received votes in the coaches poll. A really good team coming in. Well, Cuse would take the first set 25-19. That's Syracuse in orange and Virginia in white, in case you were confused. A great job of handling the serve by the Orange, allowing just 4 kills from the Who's all game. Ava Palm led the way for SU once again, as she has throughout this fall, registering a season-high 20 kills. The Cavs would take the next 2 sets, but the Orange weren't giving up. SU wins the 4th set 25-21, but Virginia would slam the door in a decisive 5th set 15-13. So close for the Cuse. Ian, maybe they had some better luck against another team from the Commonwealth.
Yeah, Peter. On paper, this Syracuse-Virginia Tech game looked like their best chance to get a victory for Syracuse in ACC play. I mean, UVA was receiving votes. Virginia Tech sat in the cellar of the ACC alongside SU. I mean, the Hokies' lone win in conference action came at Clemson, the worst team across the Atlantic Coast Conference. So, like Kevin Garnett once said, anything is possible. Is today, Sunday, the day the Orange finally win an ACC match? Well, when you got strikers on the outside, Skylar George, the Utah transfer with a big kill. This was a back-and-forth affair. Another 5-setter. And earlier in the year, the Kiran Ashratnam, the head coach, he said that he loved 5-setters, but he just didn't have really the chance to coach in them. Got a win against Iowa State to end non-conference play in a 5-setter, and against Virginia Tech in the women's building on Sunday. You can feel the momentum. You can feel the excitement. The Orange come up with the win, and Josh Solomon is going to break it all down from inside the women's building.
721. That's how many days it's been since Syracuse volleyball won its last ACC match. Well, that was up until today. Syracuse defeated Virginia Tech 3-2, and the final set ended in a 15-13 scoreline. That was the same point margin that SU lost to UVA on Wednesday. Well, after the match, the Orange reflected on the long-awaited victory.
Well, I think it means a lot for us, especially for the players, because I think they have put so much work in our development individually and as a team. And sometimes it's unfair because you get minimized just to wins and losses.
It's like really exciting because it feels like all the work that we put in, like it just like showed like everything that we put in every day. Like our team works really hard and it might not always like be seen, like we don't really care that much what other people think of us, but like it shows that like we are putting in work and that like we're meant to be in this conference.
I mean, it's our first ACC win. That's super
career.
exciting.
Our career.
So yeah, definitely thrilled for what's going to come going from here.
SU might have gotten its first victory in ACC play today, but it doesn't erase the past. The Orange started out 0-9 in conference play this year. Syracuse travels away for the first time in 2 weeks, heading to NC State down south. First serve of that match against the Wolfpack, who are 11-7 on the year, is on Friday at 7 p.m. Reporting from the Women's Building, Josh Solomon, Citrus TV.
Our thanks to Josh. Congrats to the Spike in Orange. Now to the Skate in Orange, wrapping up the early season non-conference slate by welcoming the Terriers of BU. Ship it up from Boston as winners of their last 3 games. SU looking to snap a 5-game losing spell. Friday night at Kennedy Ice Pavilion was rocking because the Orange got rolling early in their return home. 7 minutes into the first period, Tatum White finds Charlie Kettle camped out in front of the net. She slides it home to secure the early advantage for the Orange. But this is where BU would settle in on the power play with the extra body. Clara Yoon with the one-timer blows it past Allie Kelly, top cheddar, and we're even now at 1. Deep into the second out, Terriers playing behind the net here. Allie Kelly, beware, because BU is going to crash the net hard, and Lola Reed pokes home the go-ahead goal. Syracuse has had trouble digging out when their opponents take a lead. Third frame, and it's number 9 in the right spot once again. Reed writing her own ending to this one. A 2-goal game for the freshman. The youth leading Boston University to a 4-1 win. Ian, was game 2 any better for Brittany Smith's team?
Well, first of all, just got to preface by saying this is a really good Boston University team, Peter, just outside the national rankings. Surely John Baccio hasn't fed me that information throughout the week. That's the best man that we have reporting at the tip, and he's the only man that we have reporting at the tip. Anyways, Sydney Healy gets on the board, a power play goal. That was my Sam Rosen impression. It's not good.
Pretty good.
Syracuse, thank you. Syracuse strikes back. Jackson Kinsler, one of the new players on this team. We're equal after 2 with a team just outside the national rankings. This is the turnaround. This is the young team that Brittany Smith has galvanized for these moments. But Boston University, they know how to win in these moments. Lola Reed, you mentioned her previously, Peter. She makes it 3-1 BU. The Orange trying to get out of a late hole. Maya Darcy, she scores with just a minute to go in the third period. SU applying all the pressure at the end, but they were just out-muscled offensively. And BU holds on to win despite this last-second dash from the Orange. They are swept over the weekend at Kennedy. And Peter, you hope it gets a little better in the new conference?
You hope. I mean, there's one winnable game there, I think, certainly for the Orange, that Lindenwood team, that they're 0-7-1 off to start the season. So I think you go to Missouri, you can take 2 games there, but it's tough when you head to Happy Valley. That's a really good Nittany Lions team. They took 3 of 4 from the Orange last year. RIT, also a really strong team. They looked great against Colgate and St. Lawrence. 2 top 10 teams.
2 top 10 teams. It's a little bit of a remake conference this year, but really it's the same conference, and Syracuse has been middle of the road. So you hope they can compete.
We'll see how they do. Well, we're stepping aside for one final break. We haven't gone through all the candy corn just yet because we're sharing some dazzling tricks for our plays of the month. Yeah, month. And it'll be a real treat to toast our performers of October. On the bench hands out full-size candy bars. Q's Countdown gives out raisins and quarters. The choice is yours, kids.
Everybody's pretty tired of each other. The walls were closing in. Clearly a case of too much family, too close, 24/7. If this sounds like your house, try going someplace new. YourLifeYourVoice.org. You'll find lots of ideas to help you handle the family stresses of being confined to close quarters. YourLifeYourVoice.org. It could help you find a little more breathing room.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, some people would say that candy corn is the raisin of candy.
It's fair. I wouldn't say that.
No, you brought.
Can I get one of those?
You got one of these. Ian Nicholas, Peter Elliott here. We're going to go over our performers of the month. And let's waste no time, right? Let's tell you, let's use a little recency bias here, Peter. We just talked about volleyball.
That's right.
Josh Solomon, if he got a vote in our Performer of the Month, he would be somebody who would be easily voting for Ava Palm. And that's why she slots in at number 3. I mean, you mentioned it, even in a loss to Virginia, she had 20 kills. She was a relative unknown headed into this season, making over 85 kills for her on the month, transferring from Cal State Bakersfield. She wanted to play beach volleyball this year. She looks pretty good in the women's building.
Looks really good. And 19 in that big win over Virginia Tech, so she's really ramping up only as the season is getting deeper into play at the women's building. All right, moving on to our second Performer of the Week here. Yeah, this might be a surprise to some, but we're going with the receiver, Jackson Meeks.
Not a
His
surprise to
play
me.
has been anything but meek so far, especially in the month of October. I'd say his breakout month. He's been nothing but scary. That OT win against UNLV, 8 catches for 67 yards, a score. The NC State game, how about that? 11 catches, 116 yards, another score. And that Pitt game, 5 catches for 53 yards. Probably a lone bright spot, I guess you could say, in that tough loss.
Yeah, I mean, look, he had an early 4th down conversion when the game was still somewhat manageable before it became 41-13. Our third Performer of the Month, again, if you follow on the bench, this is no surprise.
Nope.
Dan Shalom did a package on her. That's a TV term for you. For a reason, Bovan Kempen. She scores all the goals. She scores all the important goals, right? 12 games, 9 game-winning goals. She is inevitable. She is Thanos. Somebody's got to be Thanos. It's Halloween. She's inevitable.
When she snaps her fingers, she scores off all those penalty corners. Well, and it's inevitable that she probably might end up being our Performer of the semester. Not to jinx anything just yet, but it's possible if she's the Performer of October, she could be the Performer of the fall semester so far. All right, let's look at our plays. What do you think? The plays of October so far. Some exceptional plays we saw on the SO Hill and outside of it. Let's start with field hockey. Of course, we go down to Charlottesville, where we got Bear Bakerman ringing the cage here for her first goal of the season. Ian, the amazing thing here on the replay we're going to see is the fluidity here with which she moves the stick. She starts with her left, or right rather, then goes to her left and smacks it home. We've seen a lot of cool Bovan Kempen goals, but that's pretty cool too.
And that's also awesome because that was Bakerman's, the captain, her first goal with Syracuse, and she earned that one.
100%.
Number 4, maybe a little less skill. Watch out, Zaria. That hit off her face. That's gotta hurt, but she gets the kill.
Incredible.
Harris Waddy gets the kill. Right place at the right time. That's the definition of it.
You know who that reminds me of? Scott Sterling, the classic off the head.
One of my favorites.
In real life, pretty incredible. To number 3, we talked earlier about how impressive Shea Vanderbosch has been, but the stats don't show this. Unbelievable save there. The concentration, how nonchalant she is after the save too. I would be hooting and hollering after an incredible save like that. A huge save at the time to keep the Orange in this one, but they would ultimately lose this game 3-1 to Miami.
Feels like in some of the games Syracuse plays, she makes a few of those saves.
100%.
Every single game.
Yep.
Number 2, I got to get Dr. Seuss back in here. Can he give me, what is the stat for dunking? Is there a spin rate in basketball? What was the rim rattle rate here for Donnie Freeman? This was such a great moment for him to say, I'm here, Syracuse. I'm the best recruit since Carmelo Anthony. He did it against Clarion. Who cares? That was cool.
Expect more of that so far in the season. A 5-star dunk for the guy from IMG Academy. All right, we got to go here. The stakes couldn't have been any higher. LaQuint Allen, the walk-off touchdown. Get off of me. Weight room. LaQuint Allen bulldozing his way into the end zone and winning it for the Orange. After the game, Ian, LaQuint said he would die out there for his teammates. Look at this play. That says everything.
Yeah, I was there in Vegas, and before, we had a little bit fun after the game. I heard LaQuint say that too, and he was dead serious, right? And that's the energy. You know what? I'm just going to say it. LaQuint Allen needs to get the ball some more.
Yes, I love it. Kyle Brandt, he has those angry runs.
Yes.
LaQuint Allen runs angrily. I love it. We need to see more of it so far this season.
I know the only reason you're weaving him in, Bears fan.
That's right. I am.
Right.
Exciting. Well, let's not talk about last week. I don't want to do that.
Oh my gosh.
Where were you was scary.
During the Hail Mary?
At home. I didn't speak. I didn't speak for the next hour. Unbelievable. I mean, that was up there with the double doink. I don't even want to say the double doink. We're just wallowing in misery here. This is brutal.
Awful moments. Dan, what I would say was a pretty fun show.
A pretty fun show. And now we're talking about spooky Bears moments.
Embracing it all. Peter Elliott, Ian Nicholas. That's all we've got for you until our images of the week.
Near side, it's intercepted by Pittsburgh to the 10, and he's into the end zone, and it's intercepted again. He's running on the far sideline, cuts back into the hash at the 10. Touchdown, Pittsburgh!
Batted and intercepted by Pitt.
picks up the steal and grabs possession, gives it to Freeman. Straight away, elevates and slams. Drives baseline, comes inside, far corner, Chappamore 3. He got it. Turnaround, lowers his shoulder, kick out, Bell, right wing 3. You bet.
Syracuse soars past Clarion in his first of 2 exhibitions on the season, 101-73 the